Maria, how are you going?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been ages. I feel like I haven't seen you for, I don't know, hours.
Yeah. I know. Anyway, I wanted to say thanks for bringing me on, because what I think is really nice about this is that even though we talk a lot, we don't have any allocated time to actually talk. So when we talk, it's literally just for like a question, or I just want to tell you this or that. Now we have some allocated time to actually talk to each other, and I really appreciate that. So
we do, absolutely. And absolutely. No, you're welcome. And what's really interesting about this is, we're actually going to listen to some of your stuff. We just heard a song called, well, maybe I should leave it over to you. Do you mind just telling us a little bit about that song and how that came about?
Yeah, I can do that. So that song is called Imperfection, and it's really weird to hear that again, because it's super old. I think I wrote that 14 or 15 years ago, and then initially I recorded it from my home studio, which was in your old apartment. So when you moved to Australia, I moved into your apartment, and I actually had like my own recording studio in the basement. So I did like a rough, raw version of that song the way I thought it should sound, which was really nerdy with like 7 different chorus lines and stuff like that. So, and then I met my good friend Sune Krentel, who also had a studio way more professional than mine in his home, and he invited me in to do some sessions and offered to do a production of it that would be a little bit more studio type. So that's how that one came about.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, he's the guy also playing guitar on it. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. Oh, he's doing everything on it.
Yeah.
But it's a live guitar, and it's sort of some really nice moves with interlaying the vocals with the guitar in the middle section, where they're sort of like blending together. I really like that.
Yeah, no, he's done a fabulous job, and again, it's come out really good. It sounds really professional. So what happened to that song? Because it's been ages since I've heard it as well.
Yeah, I know. Well, life happened, I reckon. I think I sent that one along with some other songs off to a company at some point, but I didn't hear anything, and I didn't really push much to be honest to do anything professionally with my music, and I basically just did it in my basement, recorded some stuff and had some songs, and enjoyed that, and didn't really take it any further, to be honest. So
yeah. Well, I suppose that is what probably happens to quite a few musicians when they're trying to put stuff out. Shit gets in the way, and you get caught up with other stuff.
Yeah. Life gets in the way of life often. So
absolutely. Speaking about life, how's life in lockdown in Singapore?
Yeah, life in lockdown is not too bad. To be honest, I'll say life in lockdown for me looks pretty much the same as my life looked before. When I have a toddler, she's 2 years and 8 months, and she's at home with me. So your life is already pretty tied down when you have a small child living with you like that. So my life is pretty much the same. I already work from home, and I already had her out of the institution, and we just go on with our life. I think the most difficult thing about being in lockdown, so here they call it a circuit breaker rather than a lockdown, but it's basically the same. You can go out for essentials, and you can go out if you want to exercise. So we try to take a long walk every day with Lisa as well, our daughter Lisa. But to tell you the truth, I think the toughest part about the lockdown is not knowing when it's going to be over. So not knowing when you can do some of the other stuff that you were actually doing, because naturally I was doing more than just looking after Lisa. But like, for instance, we were supposed to fly down to see you guys in 3 days. Now obviously the tickets are cancelled, and we have no idea when we're going to be able to go to Australia. We have no idea when we're going to be able to go to Denmark, and all those sort of normal things that you would do on a daily basis, we have no idea when they are coming back. But the day-to-day life, I think it's not too bad. I mean, we have food, we have each other, each other, really. That's the most important thing. So and we have sunshine every day as well. And not too bad, actually.
I suppose it could be worse, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah, man. My sister-in-law's living in Bangladesh. I'm like happy that's not me, to be honest.
It's, I suppose, yes. But you see videos from all the celebrities, sort of being in lockup in all the big mansions. I remember we watched a really fun video yesterday with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He posted a video of his two little ponies just chasing himself for like 3 minutes. So yeah, I suppose some people have it better, but there's certainly also people that will be a lot worse off for sure.
Worse off, definitely, yeah.
So what sort of what is the future? If in the perfect world, what does the future look like after this? So I'm assuming now, as you're saying yourself, your everyday life looks roughly about the same. Now it's a couple of months ago, but is there any way you can use, or you guys as a family, can you use this time to do something special, something you wouldn't be able to do before or after once all this stuff is over?
Well, on a general note, I hope that most people will see the value in being with other people, like valuing the people that you cherish, family and friends, and because I think it's a bit weird that the whole social distancing thing is a thing. Because to me, I think social distance was happening before, because a lot of people they were on their iPhone all the time. If you had a gathering with people, they would just be like sitting on their phone or whatever, or I know a few people close in my life who's really bad with their phone, and I hope that this has shown that social distancing of like being away from people physically is the hard part, and that you're going to value time together more once this is over. And also just in your own close family household, like valuing time with the people you love instead of spending all your time with work or your phone or something that at the end of the day and at the end of your life is not really that important. And the same with like material goods. The reason why this is also not very hard on us is we're not big shoppers, so we don't miss going to the shops to buy new clothes or buy new this or that or fancy new stuff. And I reckon that spending your money on more sustainable things and a better lifestyle and stuff like that is also going to be hopefully something that we take away from this once it's over.
Absolutely, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, it does give people an opportunity to do other things, pursue other avenues. I mean, look, that's why I'm doing this. that's actually also that's actually partly to your credit as well. You always said you should try and do something and pursue other passions, and both you and I have had a lot of interest in music and grew up with a lot of music as well. And speaking of that, obviously now being in lockdown, what can you do with music in lockdown, you reckon?
Well, when you have a toddler, it's very easy to do the singing the children's song. So we do a lot of that, and Lisa is really good at English songs as well and Danish songs, and so we spend a lot of time with also the ones where you use like head, shoulders, knees and toes, blah blah blah, so you get to use your body as well. So stuff like that. That's my tune these days. That's all the kiddies songs, but you'll probably know that as well. Other than that, we listen to the radio every morning. It's part of just like turning the radio on, and you get a bit of the news, you get some really good music. Like I'm really stoked about the music here, and I'll say it was the same in Dubai. They have some really good radio stations playing, like, to me, proper music. I'm not really a fan of a lot of the new music, so here they have a station that's playing roughly a lot of like 90s and 80s and some new songs as well, but really some oldies and goodies.
All the real music.
All the real music, and they had the same in Dubai. Actually, they had a station that played that was even better, I'll say. But this one it's really good. So we listen to the radio every day, and then obviously, I have an Apple Music on my iTunes, like the free music thing, or not free, I pay for it. And I just upgraded that to have my husband on board as well, so we can actually get to download all, like when you think of a song and you just instantly want to hear it, it's really nice in times like these to get the music that you want, because it's able to set a mood if you need a different mood. And I think a lot of people need a different mood sometimes these days, because as you said, this is an opportunity, to do something else. But I think it's also an opportunity, it's not an opportunity, in the sense that a lot of people will feel depressed by a situation like that, and then they don't have energy and they don't have the creativity or whatever. Like, even if you want to do something, the entire situation is just like playing with your psyche, so that you don't get to do the things that you could have done with the time. So so kudos to you for doing this though. But
Oh, look, it's obviously it's still early days, but I must admit, so far I've really enjoyed it. It's also something that, again, it allows me to try and connect with people. And as you said before, like, you feel like you can be, the whole social distancing. It is something where you can actually be, even though you can go and do whatever you want at any given time. Very few people actually do that, because you are so used to just connecting online. So now that you can't do it, it's almost, I don't know, it's like a weird effect that you have to connect even more online because that is your only avenue at the moment, because you can't catch up in person. So this again, so this year has just been a really fun avenue that allows me to catch up with people I might not have caught up with, and hopefully catch up, like meet a lot of new people as well as the days and weeks go by. But anyway, let's try and get back to you a little bit. Just on a side note, you mentioned Dubai a couple of times. Maybe this is a good time for you to just tell us a little bit, everybody who doesn't know, where, like, you have lived like an insane amount of places in the last probably 10, 15 years. Do you mind just doing a quick rundown of maybe just the last sort of 5 years? Because I remember before we started the show, and we're doing a bit of brainstorming about stuff to talk about. You mentioned something specific about Lisa, about how many times she's been on an airplane.
So Lisa is 2 years and 8 months and 5 days, and she's flown 65 times.
Which is probably more than most adults.
Yeah, most adults, I know. It's an average of every 2 weeks. It's an average of being on an airplane every 2 weeks. And she plays airplane. Like, if she wants to play, it's just like, Mommy, can we play airplane? I'll go sit here and you can be the stewardess. Can you bring me some food? And please fasten your seatbelt and stuff like that. And that's unheard of, man. That would be very, very... Very unique. And she's like, and going through the door and showing the ticket to the stewardess, and where should I sit? And then she goes and sits, and she clicks her imaginary belt, and then we bring her food and drinks, and sometimes headphones, so there's a pretend movie, and so she's she's a frequent flyer. Let's just put it that way.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's lived in Denmark and in France and in Dubai and now Singapore. So that's just in the 2.5 years,
So where are you going next?
Hopefully we're staying here for a while. I mean, everything is always up in the air, but we only just arrived, like literally only just arrived here. Lisa and I has barely had a feel of the city, to be honest, because when we came, my husband's work had already closed down, and 3 weeks later the circuit breaker was installed. So we'd only just gotten to see like bits and pieces. So hopefully we're staying here for quite some time.
Yeah, good. Well, I suppose again, sort of, I remember when we were growing up with music, like, it was obviously, there was always some sort of instrument, or some maraca, a little drum to hit, or a flute, or whatever. Wouldn't this be a good opportunity to maybe I don't know, maybe teach Lisa, or maybe you and Carl could start and pick up an instrument, or
but that's already happening. So we sort of like had a feeling, or at least I had a feeling very clearly, that there was going to be a lockdown here at some point, because I'd been following the news closely from January. But I mean, Carl was going here in February, and I knew there was coronavirus already, and he was also supposed to sail to China in January. So I'd been following the coronavirus very closely since then. So I knew that there was going to be a lockdown here at some point as well. So the first thing we got when we came was a piano. So we went out and bought a piano, because there was no way that we were going to get our stuff here. So half of our stuff is in Denmark and the other half is still in Dubai. So we went out and got a few furnitures from IKEA, and then we got a piano, obviously, because for a lockdown, what's going to be better than a piano? And Carl is teaching himself piano, and he's been doing that for a few few years. We also had a piano in Dubai. And yeah, Lisa's definitely interested. So, and we let her play. Like if you want to sit on by the piano and play, she's more than welcome to play. And we try to teach her just to use single fingers and not just hammer the piano. So yeah, and she has an interest in, just no, she's well, she is like that, but she can play a single note. And I'm mostly impressed with her tone of voice, actually. Like she's actually able to sing a song in the right key and the right melody and also the right words. So I'm quite impressed with her skills like that. I think she likes music a lot, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how was it for you to grow up with music? Would you mind just, I mean, obviously I know what it was like for me, but I don't think we've actually had a conversation about how it actually was sort of growing up. Like,
no, I don't know. I think music was just naturally a part of our household in some sense. I don't know how. I mean, our mom was always singing, like in the morning, for instance, when she came to where I shared a room with our little sisters, and she would always come up singing, breakfast is ready, there's nothing like breakfast, or something like that to get us up and get us going. And like that, there was always some sort of musical feeling to the household. And we had a piano as well, and I remember being allowed to play on that as well since I was as little as I remember, and also having an interest actually in wanting to play it more. So like when I think back, I think the primary reason for me wanting to play the piano was so I could accompany my singing, to be honest. But I learned it nonetheless. And I think there was, I don't know, I remember growing up with music. I remember you a lot, like you listening to a lot of music, like having vinyls and records and CDs when they came, and a lot of posters in your room, and sort of like wanting to see what sort of music you were listening to. And then back in those days, you also had like, you had TV shows dedicated to music. So I liked to watch, there was like one show that was on every day at 4. It was called Pulse. And they were just all about music. It was sort of like a Danish small version of MTV or something like that. And so the interest of music was present.
Yeah, good. So I'm a bit curious now. What was I listening to? Like, what can you remember me listening to?
Metallica,
because obviously, we were
Alice in Chains.
Yeah. For people who don't know, we're about 6 years apart. I know it looks like a lot more now. I'm getting my grey beard and my long hair and shit. So, but I'm the oldest. I look probably more like 15 years old at the moment. But so when you started to remember stuff like that, like what I was listening to, I'm guessing what would I have been like? I would have been like my early teens or something, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but I remember, Metallica, like I said, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Alice in Chains, Alice Cooper, Iron Maiden, stuff like that. Because you also had all the posters with the same sort of bands. But then there was also like, I remember you had some records with Eurythmics and Roxette, and those were some of the bands that I really liked as well, and I like to listen to. And I remember one time I asked you to record the vinyl of Roxette onto a cassette for me. And I said to you, can you please record it on volume 8? Because that's the volume I like to hear it on.
Volume 8. Yeah. You heard it here. That's the correct volume. So.
Yeah. So.
Yes. I remember. I can remember buying Joyride on vinyl on when I got what do you call it, confirmation. I'm not what do you call it, confirmed? What it's called?
Yeah.
But I remember when my whole class went out. Yeah, I bought that particular album on vinyl. It's not very rock. It doesn't put a good image, especially we've got like Metallica on today. No, look, absolutely. Like music is such a defining thing, and again, like all the memories again, like when I think back now, and like when I think about listening to Roxette, and when I was like 13, 14 and stuff like that, and like growing up, like I think most generation have their defining genre of music, and for me 100% it was the whole grunge, there was the new metal, like the old school rock. So again, like you had like you mentioned yourself, Guns N' Roses and Metallica was a massive part of my childhood, and it still is. I suppose they are one of the pioneers. So what kind of music are you sort of into at the moment? I understand you've got your hands full with your daughter and all that. But if I'm assuming you mentioned there was some radio station you guys are listening to. Like if you had to sort of put on your own music at the moment, what is Maria-Louize listening to in Singapore?
I always have like some go-to music, like music that you keep returning to, and for me that's something like Muse and Queen, Rammstein. That's sort of like a lot of the music that I like to run to or work out to is sort of like the same music that sets a mood for me. So those three bands are definitely something that I like to return to. And Muse, I'm a huge fan of Muse. And Rammstein as well. We're going to see Rammstein twice this year. Don't reckon those tickets are going to be worth much now. Queen, not going to see them, and then sometimes you get a mood for like wanting to hear something. I just saw when I flew here to Singapore, I saw Rocket Man, the movie about Elton John, on the flight, and I really like Elton John and like a lot of his songs. So now I've obviously downloaded a bit of that. And then sometimes some people makes you think of other people. So I was like, I also miss listening to Sting and also listening to Paul Simon. So download a bit of, And it's music for different kinds of moods and different kinds of feelings that you're looking for. But I use music a lot for mood setting, or like if you're in a feeling or want to get out of a feeling or something. I think music can, it's like a sort of like a therapy. And actually it's really interesting I know that it was a big thing for our mom to teach us an instrument. Like she was quite adamant that we should all learn an instrument. And it's quite interesting because actually music is in the brain. It's like a language. So if you're looking at brain waves, your brain waves, they react the same way to music as they do to if you know different languages. So the same way, if grammatically you say something wrong in Danish to me, my brain waves will react. And it's the same way if you know music, if you can play an instrument, if you know how the notes are supposed to go together, if you hear someone play off key, your brainwaves will react the same way. So, I think that's quite interesting. And
that is how my brain reacts when I turn on the mainstream radio. It's it's fried, man. If I hear some Beyonce, Ariana Grande, I'm completely shut down.
You go. Yeah.
So, but it's funny you mentioned that whole thing about therapy and sort of setting different moods, because obviously in your line of work, for people that doesn't know, both you and your husband are it's priests or minister. What's the proper English term?
Yeah, I think in Australia you'd probably either say pastor or minister. Yeah,
pastor or minister. So obviously, I'm assuming it's probably quite normal.
Once when I said I was a minister, someone said to me, like, a minister of what? I was like,
the minister of sound. So,
exactly.
But it's a lot. So wouldn't it be fair to say that probably most people, when you go to like a funeral or something, you listen to something either sad or you listen to that person's favorite song or something that there would be defining to sort of set the mood for something like that. Just like, for instance, when you get married, usually people listen to a happy song or like a song that was sort of the special song for that couple. So is there anything else, just like if we are going into that thing, because obviously like going to church in general is a lot about singing. It is in Denmark anyway. So it's very much about music. Would it be like, is there any way, because I remember when I first found out that you were gonna be a minister, I was like, fuck yeah, you're gonna put on some rock music and you're gonna do something different. You're gonna do the whole sister act, the whole gospel thing. Would there be any controversy, any alternatives to the whole sort of traditional way of church going, if you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand. There already is a lot of alternative versions of going to church. The primary thing in Denmark is that you have some rituals and some guidelines for how things are supposed to be or should be, and that you can't deviate from. And then you have some things where you're allowed to mix it up. And and for the mixing up part, sure, you can do whatever you like. And I know that there's a church in Copenhagen who does something where they invite Die Herren, which is a copy band of U2.
Nice.
So there's definitely stuff like that where you can mix it up.
So you can't get buried to Slayer or something?
Well, I mean, usually for a ceremony, if it's your funeral, you'll usually have hymns. So you'll have a few hymns during the ceremony. And then maybe when you take the coffin out of the church, you might hear a song. Either some musicians come to play. I don't think you're going to have Slayer playing at the church, but you can also put on a CD, obviously. And if you can get Slayer, let's talk about it if you can. You can also do something different with that. I always say to people, if they come with some propositions, that really think it through what makes sense in the situation, because you can have a lot of ideas that seem funny or whatever beforehand, but especially for a funeral, it's a different mood once you're there. So and you want the takeaway to be memorable, but in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense, absolutely. I'd like to try and jump over just to talk about one of the things that you brought up here. So you sent me a little line here that says, "How many things are founded early in your life and never leave you, even if you grow up or even if you change?"
Yeah.
So that I would like to hear your take on that specific line.
Yeah. So. Well, it has a lot to do with music, I think, because I'm a person that thinks a lot about things. So when people say something to me, I think it over and over, and what did that mean, and why did they say that, and blah blah blah. So I'm quite sensitive in a lot of ways, and I'm also very thinking a lot about my own life and why did I do that and blah blah blah. So very thoughtful in an internal sense of the word, if that's something that's called that. So it's just that I've realized that a lot of the things that you had as key points in your life early on, for me anyway, has been something that has defined a lot of the identity that I feel I have, even if it's not the life I'm leading today. So with music, for instance, from an early age, I always thought I was going to be I wanted to do musicals for a living. I wanted to be a recording artist for a living. I wanted to move abroad and have a career with singing and dancing and theater and everything. And I think, and that was all I did as a child. I did musicals, and I went to dance lessons and played the piano and singing and whatnot, up until I was in my late teens. And then I took it up again later on and stuff like that. And so it's just to say that sometimes in my own world, I am still that person who is 16 years old and doing the ballet lessons and playing the piano and wanting to go perform at the West End in London or on Broadway in New York or whatnot. And you take that with you in a lot of the things that you do and a lot of the things that you are, even though you're not that person anymore. So it's just to give a small example of it. It can also be other defining things I looked up to you a lot as a child as well, and and I think a lot of those things as well, where I've leaned a lot on you and what are you going to do and what did you say and blah blah blah. So that's also, it's also sticking. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's
no, it makes it,
obviously it I'm not a musical performer. I don't do I'm not a recording artist. I'm none of the things that I wanted to be as a child, and it doesn't really matter today. But the profession still matters a lot to me. I'm still very opinionated about music and theater and dancing and whether or not people can do it. And I really kudos to everyone making a living out of it. I wouldn't want to do it now, even if I could go back and change anything. But it's still something that means a lot to me. It's still something that's part of who I feel I am. like at the core. So yeah, it's just funny how some things stick with you like that, I think.
Yeah. No, again, I agree 100%. It's like I think especially now, once you have a family as well, like you have different hats you can put on. Like one day you're the parent, the next day you're the pastor or minister or whatever it is. But like you have your work hat, you have your parent hat, you have your wife or husband hat. You go out if you have your hobbies on the side. If you like, I know you're a personal trainer as well, so you have that. I know you did another degree last year. We can get back to that shortly as well. But you have your music hat. In my case, this year again is an avenue for me to try and pursue some of my music identity, which again I've never fully let go of that, even though again stuff gets in the way, as you said. Like you get older, you have a family, priorities change, responsibilities show up. Obviously being a parent is the biggest responsibility you can possibly get, but so now I know exactly what you mean. Like it is, the fact that you might not get all the dreams you had as a child, but it's still allowed to dream. It's still okay to try and pursue it.
Yeah.
But you have other hats to wear as well.
Yeah. And you also have worn out hats, but yeah.
Oh, I've got some old hats.
Yeah, we can maybe exchange hats one day. No, but I'm with you all the way with like even when I lived in Hong Kong like 6 years ago, I was also in a theatrical production, like a musical. I saw an advert for someone, a British theatre company looking for people, and I went for the audition and got the lead role. So I was quite stoked about that and took up theatre even abroad. And I also did actually with the theatre thing back in Denmark with my really good friend Lasse Winkler. I did found a musical company, like a musical scene in our own hometown, Odense.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was quite an ambitious project to sort of like have an amateur scene that would resemble the professional scene as much as possible. And we had an ambition to like only have the best, the creme de la creme, the most talented people. And we also had an ambition that, why not? And no, but like I was really tired of like I'm quite ambitious myself. I remember I was really bad at teamwork in school because I had extremely high standards. And if I was going to be put in a group with other people, I would expect the same from them. And the teacher was like, yeah, but Maria, as long as people do what they're supposed to do, that's actually good enough. And for me, it was always, no, it has to be like a little bit better. So being in some of the amateur scenes in Denmark was, for me, too much drinking coffee and just chatting and hanging out, where I was like, I want to work and I want to do something really good. And if people are on the stage, you should just be quiet, blah, blah, blah. We can still have fun and all that. It was not that. It was just more the fact that I wanted to see the drive and the talent before the talk and the coziness. So we also had an ambition that some of the people who joined our company, they should pursue a professional career. And that is actually, we've succeeded in all the areas that we wanted. And obviously I'm not really a part of it anymore because I left Denmark, and I sometimes regret not being a part of that adventure anymore, because that's actually a really fantastic thing that we founded, and Les is still running it a lot. And if I moved back to Denmark, naturally I could just join in again. But so in that sense, I also took the theater bit with me and actually did something in a professional sense with it, so to speak.
But isn't that something, as you said yourself, isn't that something you could come back to, by the time, if the opportunity presents itself? So, as you said yourself, if you did move back or...
Yeah, and even while I've been abroad, I've helped them out. I've translated 2 of the acts. So, like, we've premiered some musicals in Denmark that has never been to Denmark before. We premiered them. So I actually did the translation of the script, like for Hairspray and for Rock of Ages, so translated them into Danish when we did those productions. And still helped out with various other things like that you can do from abroad. So definitely still able to play a part in it, just a different part.
So I know you said you made like you wanted to get the creme de la creme when you started, but had you no intention of sort of being on stage yourself? Because I know you have been. You played quite a few lead parts, like in other.
I was supposed to be in the first production that we did, but then something conflicted with my work, and then I didn't do it, and then I moved abroad. So I haven't been home stationary for any of the other productions, unfortunately.
Right. There's a little funny thing you said before that I picked up on that I'd like to try and have a little chat about. When you were saying, like, when you were a bit younger and everybody, I think you mentioned they were just having a coffee club and you wanted for them to push harder and like, because you wanted them to sort of get up to your level. Tell us a little bit about how you managed to sort of get a second career or a second degree. Like you did another uni degree last year.
Yeah.
Do you mind just elaborating a little bit on that and how all that came about, and especially the result?
So you want me to tell how to enroll at the university?
I'm not too interested in that, because I would have absolutely zero interest in turning academic, and I'm sure a lot of musicians have absolutely no aspiration to do that whatsoever. But I'm more curious about your specific situation, because that sort of underscores what you just said to an absolute T.
Yeah. So it was because I actually started this. So I finished university as studying theology to become a minister back in 2007. And I've worked as a minister ever since. And then when I met my husband, he was also a minister. And then I went to live with him and didn't work as a minister for a while. And then I worked a little bit. And then we had Lisa. And obviously I was on maternity leave and yada, yada, yada. And then we were moving to Dubai. And I was supposed to get a job there as well, as everybody living at the church. They were actually employed there. But then I didn't get any work there. And I just thought to myself, I still want to do something. And when back to 2007, when I finished my degree in theology, I wanted to stay in Australia. I was in Australia because I was working for the Danish church in 2006, 2007. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to stay here with a master degree in theology, so I'm going to need to study something else. And I was going back to Denmark, so I tried to enroll in another master of international business communication in English. And so I did that, and I actually started off studying while I was working as a minister. And and then I took a break from it. And then when we moved to Dubai, I thought, okay, why don't I take up the university degree again? And then I came back to university and I studied the international business communication while we were living in Dubai and while I was having Lisa at home. And it went well. Turned out okay.
Do you mind just so what is okay?
Yeah. So I had all the highest grades for all of my exams, and
just very happy. Because you might as well. Now you're doing it.
Now I'm doing it. Might as well do it. Yeah, true. So,
but that's again. I think both you and I share that quite a bit. It's a fact that, you know, if you have to do something by yourself where you're not necessarily relying on others, you can't sort of push the blame somewhere else. It's just a fact. You just got to fucking do it, and I think that's the hardest part. And that's something that I've been struggling with a lot as well, especially when it sort of comes to try and pursuing other avenues like this. Just an excellent opportunity to do that. So have you had anything where you sort of feel a little bit the same way? Because I remember when we had a chat earlier, you did mention that there was something where it's like, it's because I have to do it myself. And, you know, I think the reason why you excel in stuff like studies and stuff is because you're already committed. So you're committed to something. You want to prove to whatever, if you want to have a study, or if you want to, study to become a minister. Because I remember your your exams back in the day when you were studying theology, it was the same. Like, it was top grades, and you finished a year early, and like it's just bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, you're like the academic super god. So tell me a bit. So how do you approach sort of other areas in life? Because now obviously you're a mom, so that comes with quite a bit of responsibility as well. And there's no right or wrong way of doing that. There's just your way.
Yeah.
But tell us a bit about sort of like your other hobbies and how you approach that.
No, but I think what I said when we talked earlier was like also the thing with music and stuff like that. Like the reason I think why I haven't pursued like for real a career in theater and music and everything is because I lack patience. I lack patience of doing things 100% and only doing one thing. I mean, like when I said that Carl was taken up playing the piano by himself, he's got patience. I'm telling you, he's playing like the same shitty line of a shitty song over and over again. And you can just hear it. It's like slowly, steady, slowly. And I'm like, how do you do it, man? When I was taking piano lessons as a child, I couldn't be bothered to practice. I would sometimes, I was playing the accordion before I played the piano, I would sometimes make up a list on my music sheets when I was supposed to practice. I would make up a list of things I could tell the teacher when I came that had happened like during the week or whatever, to sort of like push the time so she didn't have to find out that I hadn't been practicing. It was like, I hate practice, and I hate prepping, and I hate everything that has to do with not doing the thing, but doing the thing. I like that. So if I'm going to sit down and play, I'll just choose a song that I somewhat know, and if I don't know it, I'll just skip the notes that I don't know or whatever, and then I'll just play it. I'm not going to sit and spend like ages and days and weeks perfecting a song because I don't have the patience for it. Once the song sounds okay and I can play it and sing it, it's fine by me. I don't need all the nitty-gritty little things that he has the patience to do with the songs that he wants to play. And that's me in a nutshell with a lot of things, like lacking patience to do things thoroughly, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like with my studies, to be fair, I actually feel, and I have this chat a lot with one of our other little sisters who's also a minister, and she's actually the academic god. But because I was so fast with my theology study, I'm sometimes thinking that must be some things that I was missing as well. And that I must have skipped or something, or it slipped my mind afterwards or something. And it's probably just the patience bit. Like you don't want to study too much. You just want to study for whatever you need. To be fair, like with my before you go to university in Denmark, you go to the gymnasium. I don't know what's equivalent in Australia. What's it called?
High school. Yeah.
High school. Yeah. Okay. So like for high school, I did the part where you don't get the grades during the year, the same as you did. You just get the exam grades. So honestly, I didn't study throughout the year. I didn't do any homework throughout the year. But then for the 3 weeks up to the exams, I read all the books and all the notes and everything, and still managed to do it. But it's the patience. And when you have it like that, I think for me, you get to be somewhat good at a lot of things, but you're not really good at one thing. So I'm not really good at playing the piano. I'm not really good at any of my studies. Probably I'm not really good at running or something, but I'm pretty good at all the stuff. I'm okay. I'm doing okay for a lot of shit, but I'm no pro at anything.
I suppose that's also what sort of, isn't that what gives you a bit of variety, or what is called, you're a colorful person, isn't that what's the correct word? You're you're a person of many talents
and many hats. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tell me about the hats. Yeah.
Many flat hats, not just one high hat. Yeah.
So a fun question here. We sort of, if we want to try and keep it around an hour here, we've got about probably 15 minutes left here. I'd love to hear sort of about your plans for the future. What is so now it's 2020. I don't think a lot of people had the slightest clue that they were going to spend probably a lot longer than everybody goes and think. We're going to probably be here for quite some time, but
we're just going to be here for 15 minutes.
Yes. What does the future hold after the whole corona fucking virus?
Yeah, the corona fucking virus. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because we don't know how long it's going to be. To be honest, who knows what's at the end of it? And I mean, in my life, everything is sort of like always up in the air. To be fair, hopefully we're going to have a few years here, and I don't know. I mean, for me, my dream was always to go back to Australia, and for some reason, the way we started this off saying that life got in the way of life, it's the same thing that's happened, that every time I felt like I had the opportunity to go back to Australia, something came in the way, like something else came, another opportunity, another offer, another, whatever. And now we're in the same time zone. Now we're as close to Australia as I haven't been in a lot of years, and I've already said to my husband that I think that sometime in the future, maybe like when our parents are no longer alive or something like that, I don't see any reason why like Australia couldn't be a final destination maybe. But obviously we're not at a final destination yet. Right now we're in Singapore, and hopefully that's going to be a destination for quite some years. I mean, depending on how things go here, I could see us staying here for quite some time if it's going to be possible.
Yeah, good.
And yeah.
Well, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities in Singapore.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I could use my other degree here as well if we want to stay. So that's also a possibility.
So, what exactly? So, are you planning on doing your? Because obviously you also have your personal trainer thing. You've got your business thing, and you can talk to God. So you have 3 opportunities here.
Yes. Which do you choose? Can I call a friend?
3 hats.
Yes. Can we ask the audience?
We can definitely see what the audience is saying at the moment. Oh, we got my old buddy Eric. Hello, Eric.
Hey, I remember Eric from the session.
He's saying, hello, Maria. It's been a while.
I know.
And our lovely mom has put in a lot of comments as well. And Lena Bischoff Mikkelsen are saying,
oh, yeah. Old colleague as well.
Thumbs up. And Maria-Louize Wiener.
Oh, yeah, she used to babysit us. Yeah.
That is many, many moons ago.
Many hats ago, yeah.
That's it. And Eric says he sends his regards from Sina's Skull.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's his cousin, and we used to. I went to 10th grade with her. Yeah. There
you go. Well, there's a little.
Okay, but no one with plans for their future then. So, if anyone is still on, they could have a go. No, the plan is obviously that So my husband works for the Danish church here, and we're gonna try and do something for that, I reckon, and. Time will tell, honestly, because we don't know anything right now. It's really hard to say what's going to be the next step. As I said, everything is up in the air. So we'll see in a few weeks or in a few months. I reckon we'll know a little bit more about what's going to happen, how the world is going to open up again. Because that's sort of like what everything depends on. If we're going to be able to leave Singapore, like to go to Denmark for just like summer holiday and then come back. If we're not able to come back, what are we then going to do? We'll have to wait.
Yeah, for sure. It's just one of those crazy things, man, where you don't know. It's like even just talking about it, even though you say it over and over again, it's just the fact that you just don't know.
And that's the frustrating bit.
Yeah. It's super annoying.
Yeah, it's uncertainty. That's. But I mean, this is probably not the last place we're going to live, to be honest. So I can say that much. And then.
So what do you miss the most about Denmark? Or about the rest of the world? Because obviously, you've been so many places, and I suppose like if Singapore is still so new.
It's still so new, yeah.
And being in lockdown, I'm sure you wouldn't have seen too much of it already.
No, we haven't. I mean, some of the things that you miss when you live abroad or when you've been outside of Denmark for a long time. Obviously, friends and family. Like, as I said, some of the missed opportunities, like had I stayed in Denmark, maybe Sune and I would have produced more music. Maybe Elite Theater with Lasse would have been definitely something I was still doing. So there's a lot of things that you give up on when you leave a solid foundation or sort of like the roots where you're from, or even if you've made roots new places. But I think sometimes when you live abroad like we do and like I've done for, as I said, I moved to Australia in 2006, 2007, and pretty much my life has been unstable abroad ever since. Sometimes I think, it would have been, this is the thing I feared the most when I was younger. And the reason why I wanted to leave Denmark was all the people that was living in the same spot, and they married some guy who was like 3 classes above you and just lived down the street. And then you buy a house next door to your parents and you see them and your kids, they go to the same school. And no offense to anyone living this life at all, because when you then, this is again the reflections, like when you get older and you think a lot. Sometimes I'm thinking, Jesus, why don't I just live? Why wasn't my life just easy like that? Why? Yes, Jesus. Why didn't I just have that sort of easy life? Obviously, it's not just easy, but yeah, you know what I mean. Simple choices, simple life. Sometimes you miss just having like a place where you belong, a place where everybody knows you, and a place where you're safe and good people and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, we just have that. We just have it spread out everywhere, and instead of having some solid, cozy little base where you know everyone and everybody knows you. So yeah.
Is it too deep to ask where is home?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I wish I had the answer, so I don't know. I mean, we have a summer house in Denmark, and I really enjoy being in the summer house. I mean, obviously, it's not a home like this is where you're going to live all your days, but that's definitely a place where you relax. Like when we're there, we relax, and I enjoy waking up there every day. And so that is probably the closest we are going to get to having some sort of home right now, because the last time, people say home is where the heart is, but like when you travel this much, I don't really know where the heart is either. I mean,
or unless you're Papa. Papa is a Rolling Stone, or wherever he lays his head is home. So. Hey. Cool. Look, I have a little challenge here then, because we're obviously going to be in this for a little bit, and you're gonna be in Singapore for a while. I'll definitely be in Perth for a while. So why don't we try and why don't you try and get a hold of Sune, and why don't we try and see if we can make a song together?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I know I saw a photo from him like a week ago or something.
If you're watching,
Sune, if you're listening.
Making a song.
You.
All right.
We'll get in safe social distancing contact. He's just got a new studio. That was just what I was going to say. In his
there you go. There you go.
It looks superb. It looks awesome.
Put your music hat on.
Yes, put my Sune hat on.
We can do a Sune song with your music hat on. Well, look, if that's something. If that's something you're up for, I think you're still a bit familiar, the same as like riding a bike. If you were to sort of having a look at some recording software and stuff,
Sure.
And your brain, when you hear something, it'll switch into the frequencies we spoke about.
Yep.
That's good. Well, how about we do that? So that's a goal for 2020. I said before I did this, I said I wanted 2020 to be something I could remember of hopefully other people as well could remember for something other than just the fucking COVID-19 shit. So why don't we make a song? Why don't
me and Sune?
You, me, and whoever else wants to be along, but we definitely get you to do something, and if Sune wants to be on board. Sune, if you're watching, it's up to you to get a hold of him. But
yeah, sure, man.
But otherwise, you and me will do it.
Yeah.
Just on the and just on the final. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. One final bit here before we round up. I just wanted to just run through. You had some photos that you had done. I think that was our dad who took them. They were really nice photos here. I'm just gonna try and throw them up here on the screen so we can have a look. So they are. I think did he go down to the beach or something?
Yeah. What are you looking at?
I look at the ones where you. So there's the one where you have the big dress on, and there's one.
Also, you're looking at all of them at once.
Yeah, so there's the one with the dress, there's the one where you got that red hat on, and the one where you have, with it almost look like a Formula One finish flag.
Yeah, flag. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they are all photos that were done for when I did the songs as well, and I tried to send in some music to some record labels, and obviously send it along like a press release and some photos. Actually, the one with the hat, they are both that and the dress bit. They're at I think it's in January. It's some winter month anyway, at the beach in Kerteminde in Denmark, where our toddler used to live. And actually, the one with the hat, I'm just thinking about. It's an old curtain that I have wrapped around my shoulders to look like, I don't know, like a dress or jacket. It's an old curtain, yeah. It's very much like Gone with the Wind. Like I wanted to sew a dress out of a curtain, like Scarlett O'Hara, but I never got around to it. But I still have that curtain in a moving box in Denmark somewhere. Yeah, so they were made for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're amazing photos. How old are they again?
They're like 10, 11, 12 years old or something. 12 years, I think. 10, 11, 12.
Because that again shows another side of you again, like being very like photogenic, like the other photos that you did for your. I think you did release like a demo or something at some stage, didn't you? Or was it just like a little personal one thing you did, like for the songs?
No, it's just for me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because obviously when we played the first songs, and people that will be restreaming this can obviously see that when we played the first song, and we're gonna finish off with another song where there's another photo there. So you did that specifically for that CD shoot.
Yeah.
And they're all photos that our dad took, or?
Yeah, our dad took all the photos. Yeah. I mean, he's always been really interested in photography, and I think you had the sort of like the same interest as well, with some really good gear and. Yeah, good at capturing lines and images and stuff like that. So he was really keen on helping out. And I mean, who do you go to? You go to the people that you know and trust, and who, like the same with Sune producing. I mean, you lean on the people that you know and you trust. And so our dad was really good at photography. So naturally, I asked him if he would help me out do some shoots and.
Yeah, now they've come out. They've come out sensational. And I think, did you say that did you edit them?
Yeah, I've done all the editing on the photos.
Just because it doesn't look very good. So.
No, I know that was also only half.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it looks. It looks.
That was my patience. I didn't want to finish. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with them as well. It's really funny though to roam through old stuff like this, like the music bits and the photos. It brings back a lot of memories to do that. And actually, I was going to say when you said the music bring back memories, I was going to say I actually use music as a timeline. So like if I play a quiz game or something with people and you have a question and there's like some historical thing or whatever, I'll be like, how old was I then? What was I listening to of music? And then I'll be able to connect, like through the memories of music, I'll be able to find the specific year or something like that.
Yeah. And it's depressing as fuck. You go, shit, I'm old.
Yeah, no, I don't think that. I just think, fuck, it's cool that you can use music like that.
Excellent. Look, that's really appreciate all the input. It's been a lot of really cool and nostalgic stuff that you brought up, and also some really interesting stuff about places you've lived as well. I'm really interested in sort of seeing where we can go from here. So I think we should definitely try and aim towards doing a song together.
Yeah, sure.
For 2020, and we can try and do another chat when we have something more concrete, sort of set in stone.
Yes. And you know what? I think that's actually where I mostly left off my making music bit. Back in the days, you and I, we had an agreement that we would meet up. I think it was every second Thursday, maybe, to play each other new bits that we'd made. Do you remember that? So we'd meet in your old flat when I was living there every second Thursday, and you'd go, I worked on this, or what did you work on? Yeah. And then it is a long time ago. See how old you are. So, so I think that's a really, really good idea.
Wicked. Yeah. Awesome. Look, let's try and wrap it up here. I would like to finish off with so you obviously you've got another song here that if you want to just do a quick little introduction to that before we wrap up. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I'll just say it's something also Sune produced this one, and it's something completely different than what we listened to in the beginning. And what we listened to in the beginning is definitely more like down the road that I went with my music, like more dark and more depressing, maybe. Yeah, lovely. I think, and so the one that we're going to finish off with is a more happy tune, and I haven't done many of those. So it's funny to have something like that as well. And I don't know. I think because in life in general, I try to be a happy person. I think that the creative side of you might need something darker, and I think that's why the music that I like. You can also sort of like hear that the music that I'm inspired by, or the music I like, a lot of those artists are also dark in a sense. And it's the same with my writing, like writing short stories and novels. It's also like they have a dark side to them. And even with painting, I sort of like I feel more creative in that area. So, so I thought just that I would pick a different tune for the outro. I would leave people on a happier note because they probably need that in these times.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And I don't even play the violin.
Or the saxophone. Craig Ballantyne.
Craig Ballantyne for you.
He's your man. He just joined in and just said, nice interview, and said, hello, Maria.
Hello, Craig. Oh, yeah. I actually did some recording at Craig's house when I saw you 5 years ago in Perth. Those were cover songs, though, but we recorded in Craig's studio as well.
Oh, wow.
You remember that? You don't remember
that? I think I remember we went there, but I can't remember the details again. I
recorded 2 songs in Craig's studio. Yeah, 2 cover songs. He was very kind to him and Matt. Yeah, helped out with the guitar. So.
Ah, shit. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, some really good sessions. So it's
we're gonna
really
see
nice
if we can.
guys.
We were actually talking about it, but we're trying to see if we can get Matt on board as well.
Yeah,
and do a little,
Matt
and Craig a little 46 Brigade threesome. Craig just said here. He said, "I still listen to Creep." Oh, there you go. That's nice.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh, that's.
Craig, you got to send that across so we can listen to that at some stage.
I have it, but it's copyrighted because it's not my song.
Ah, that doesn't matter.
They're cover songs, yeah. I also have them, yeah.
He said you were awesome.
So is he.
Wicked.
He should bring his saxophone. Yeah. Anyway, so leave people on a happier note because I think we can all use that these days.
Fantastic. Maria, thank you.
And the song is called Everything Makes Sense, and at the end of COVID-19, everything will make sense again. Oh.
It will. Actually, one final thing is is there anywhere that, in case people want to find out about my awesome sister who can, talk to God and do fitness and do your business, what exactly is it business?
Business communications. Oh, yeah.
Where can they go? Is there anywhere? Can they follow? Can they follow anything? So they can follow. The church. Which?
Go to church. No, I don't have any channels or anything at the moment. But like, if people are interested in seeing me do something in the future, they can add me on Facebook, and I'll keep them posted. I reckon that's probably, or they can write to you and say, how can we get in touch with your awesome sister to promote her for this or that, or hire her to do whatever. I used to have a motto that was, Maria can do anything. So
that's a good motto.
And it still holds true.
Thank you so much, Maria. It was an absolute pleasure.
No worries. Thank you.
I'll be doing just a roundup here, and then we'll be listening to Everything Makes Sense. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in or listening along to the show. If you like the show, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review and subscribe to my social channels. It doesn't cost you anything, but it greatly helps me to build my networks and my chances of getting sponsors to keep this show running. If you want to take it to the next level, please head over to patreon.com/Stephen Helhammer and become a patron by joining the exclusive community there. You can start from as little as $3 per month. And for just a little extra, you get access to some fantastic features, outtakes, behind the scenes stuff, and much, much more. That's less than the cost of a cup of coffee per month. And that way you can help me build better content. I can devote more time to find awesome guests and just generally just keep everything flowing. If you want to be on the show or subscribe to my mailing list, send an email to steven@helhammer.com, and that is HELhammer.com. That way I can start sending you exclusive invites, random stuff, and messages that, who knows, you might enjoy. So that's it. Have a rocking day ahead, guys, and I will see you on the live stream or in your headphones very soon. Take it easy.